as crazy as it sounds, growing up, people are trying to rip your head off was my safe zone.
You ever been in a fight? Well, the baddest mother is the baddest mother.
Hide me early. One of the greatest knockouts you'll ever see! There's some bad mother out there, you don't want to wake them up.
Jorge Masvidal had a good last fight. So I know my man's a gangster, but he ain't no West Coast gangster.
I come from a hostile place. I love hostility. I deal with it real well.
I'm not surprised, mother.
You want to see some wild animals? Circus show comes into town, Madison Square Garden. Tune in.
Now, if you know those two, that one is going to be crazy. The main event of UFC 244 will pit two of the most exciting fighters against one another when Nate Diaz takes on our guest, the fastest knockout in UFC history, Jorge Masvidal. So good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm loving that fit.
Thank you, miss.
Saturday is going to be incredible. You guys are both heavy volume strikers. What kind of fight are you expecting?
A violent fight. A fight. You got two animals, two of the wildest dudes on the planet getting locked up in a cage and just going at it. We're going to find out who's a little wilder, who's a little bit less domesticated, you know?
UFC has instituted rules to like increase striking through the years and to decrease grappling, because grappling seems to have the upper hand once you get in the octagon. But what you've shown with obviously a striking background is that you can still be very successful as a striker. How do you make that work in a sport where history has shown that grappling, like you have to be fundamentally sound there? How do you make your striking work?
First, you got to submerge yourself in that. You can't shy away from the grappling. I'm ready to go anywhere the grappling could take place. I'm ready to go there. I've been there 1,000 times in training in just 1 week, 2-3 weeks. So I'm actually a pretty good grappler. I don't choose to use it, but man, I could fight with any guy in my weight class. And if I had broken my hand or something went wrong, I could grapple with him and hold my own. My specialty, what God gave me, my abilities in the striking. What people want to see is the pure violence. Nobody wants to see guys hugging and sniffing crotches. We want to see that brutality. So that's what I bring into the sport, you know?
I do.
What do you think you're going to need to do in order to beat Nate Diaz Saturday night? What are you expecting from him? What do you think you need to deliver?
I'm expecting him to be the same dog he's always been. Just come in ready to give it his all. And what I'm gonna do is baptize him, man. I'm taking him out of this planet. I'm sending him out to outer orbit. You know, I don't care who they put in front of me. It's always the same mentality. It's just hit the off button on him.
Looking at your whole look, your demeanor, your background, the fact that you came up street fighting, the dude who you remind me most of is not an MMA fighter. It's a boxer, Roberto Duran. Can you tell me something about any influence he may have had on you?
That's the most humbling thing anybody's ever told me on air. That was crazy, man. That's my favorite fighter of all times. Since I took to the sport of boxing, there was a couple guys I really liked. Pernell Whitaker and Roberto Duran, you know, especially because I was like a smaller guy. But, man, Duran's style is just, I love it, man. The aggression, he's just an animal in there that was domesticated enough to get into boxing, man, but man, that's a wild animal.
Did you model your look at all after Duran? Do you have him on your brain?
No, I just think I was born like this, you know, but no, my look is just me. This is how God made me, you know, but the fighting style, definitely. A lot of my inside fighting, a lot of the tactics, and how he likes to break guys down and just beat them up and torture them, I love that, man, and I definitely draw a lot of inspiration from Mr. Duran.
Jorge, well, I watched you a few weeks ago. You were on Get Up. And you were asked a question about potentially fighting Conor McGregor, who just recently, since that time, has announced that he's coming out of retirement and he's going to fight again and what have you. And when they asked you about potentially fighting him down the road, you kept bringing up Dana White and saying that you don't want to really hurt anybody. You don't want to end up in jail or something because of what you might do to him. Is that guy on your mind? Do you have him in your sights? I know you don't want to look ahead. Look past another fight ahead so quickly. But what are your thought process as it pertains to somebody like a Conor McGregor down the line for you?
The company's had one president for 20 years. That guy's name is Dana White. And when they asked him about the fight, he said it in the nicest way possible. He said, Masvidal was too much man for that individual. So I'll leave it at that, man. I don't like the flirting back online with dudes. It's not my cup of tea. I don't want to sit here and call him out. Plus, he's retired. I heard that he's coming back and this and that. When he steps in the cage and fights somebody and gets a win, we could talk, man. Until then, Dana White has deemed that I'm too much man for that individual. I don't know. I know a lot of people want him to get hurt because of the stunts he's been pulling, but you don't want to do that to that guy, man. He's going to get seriously hurt.
For you, and this happened to Duran, and this is a line from Rocky III, right? The worst thing that happened to you is you got civilized. At this point in McGregor's career, because McGregor used to be an animal too, and then he made $100 million against Floyd, and maybe he hasn't been the same since then. Do you ever worry about that with you, that you'll one day become civilized?
Nah, not yet at least. I still got a good 3-4 years of some memories that haunt me up here in my mind that won't allow me to get civilized. Maybe 5, 6, 10 years from now I'll be civilized. But as of right now, I still got too many demons that haunt me that the only way to get them out is in that cage, is in those training camps, is just pushing my soul every day to the limit. So to civilize me is going to take a little bit more than $100 million, man.
You heard him. 2 animals in a cage.
This
violence.
dude is worth watching.
Doesn't flirt with guys online. I like that line. Jorge, can't wait for it. Madison Square Garden, UFC 244, Saturday night, taking on Nate Diaz. Of course, you can watch it on ESPN+. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Still to come, which team will make this week's Stevens A-list? We got a special twist on that you don't want to miss. MSG, that's going to be fun.